Hello, welcome back to another video. I'm going to show you how to make 5x5 piston doors really easy to make. And they're not as hard as you think they are. So, let's get into it. We're going to go over the closing and the opening all the way down there. So, I'm going to go over what all these colors are first. So, orange is like powering input, so it's kind of irrelevant. Well, it kind of is, but we'll get in the actual door, we'll kind of use colors like this when we make it over there. Light blue is kind of pushing up, so it's like a connection to the storage to push up. Red is all the storage kind of control. Yellow is like a refire. Green is like the storage connection, and blue is a monostable. So this is like your regular kind of storage on the bottom. It pushes up like that. So the way that this works is that when you send a one tick through this, it's going to power this piston and then this piston, but it's going to happen at the same time. Because it's a one tick pulse, it's going to spit them out. Then one tick later, because this dust is pointing to this block, it's going to power this piston using this dust. So it's going to push these two blocks in and then this one. Then because it's connected, because of these two, this dust line is connected to light blue, it's going to push the first up, so the first block. So in this state, and what I just told you, the door would look like this. Then next it's going to go down through green, which is going to go into this monostable. And because it's still a one tick, it's going to go up to here. But you might recognize this. This is a T flip-flop. So when we get I'll explain this. So this will power these two bottom pistons with a one tick. And then one tick later it powers this piston. And then you can see this points into this repeater going back up into this. So it will do the exact same thing. But you might think it's going to clock over and over, but it won't. Because this will get pushed in, then it will get pushed up, but then the signal is going to come through this one tick repeater. But because there's no block here to push up, it's just going to pull down. And there's going to be no signal sent through here, no clock. And and it works on the closing and the opening. So hopefully I explained that in the most least complicated thing as possible. Like all my redstone is really complicated. So it does this, and then there'll be like a triple extender to push all the blocks up. But we'll get into that right after we do the top closing, which is next. So when you power it again, it does this. So let's get into the top closing. Top closing, it's a very simple circuit, and I suggest that you use it in your 5x5 doors because it is an amazing circuit that I came up with, and it's very smart the way that it works. It might not look super complicated, but it's not, and it's really smart. So what's going to happen, you're going to send a one tick into this red line, which is a storage input, which is going to push these into here, like this. But because this observer takes an output from this, these are going to be still extending. So just as these are extending, this observer will turn on half a tick earlier before these are pushed in. So these will be pushed in. Just as these get pushed in, that's going to turn on, and then it's going to get pushed in half a tick later. Then these repeaters will turn on, pushing the first row down, like this. And then this will come through as an update, powering this as a bud. Well, it did a 2-tick, but not there. There. It would have done a 1-tick pushing the blocks down. And you can see that once I reset this after demonstrating. And I will also explain what that is over there. So it'll go down like this, getting ready for the quad extender. So you're probably wondering, well, we have to refire the storage on the opening. So what will make this work? Well, let's say we're doing the first quad, it goes down all the way back up. And then we pull these up using an input. You're probably wondering, well, it's going to break because normally you would power the storage, then power the kind of double extender part, and then the quad. But the double extender, remember from down there, this observer into these repeaters is connected into the storage. And you're probably wondering, well, that's going to break or whatever. But if you're really smart, you will see the same thing's going to happen. These are going to get pulled back, and then this is where you're going to get a little smiley face. You're going to get all creative and very ducky-like and very happy. This will power, but then you will see, well, I didn't do it with the one tip. Like this, you will see that it pushes down again. So when you refire the quad extender, it will do the quad. So what this is a closing circuit and an extra move circuit, which is very smart, like this ducky over here. So that is the extra moves and the closing for the top and the bottom. This is going to be the triple and the quad. I already covered the extra moves, so there's no need for this to be refired. So this might look complicated wiring, but this is not in the actual door. I'm just showing you what happened. So the blocks are already being pushed in, and we're in this state of the door. Remember from over here? Well, we're doing it as if the triple's actually going. So it would look something like this, like over there. The first thing you want to, if you see, well, this is obviously locational, but it doesn't really matter. So it will normally be getting 1 tick, so you can see this, but it's locational, so it doesn't actually work here. But what would actually happen is these 3 will fire like that. But so what would happen first is that we power this bottom input, and then if we do a double piston extender like this works. So it would push the blocks up. So let me do that again. Okay, let me just reset this. I did this in like the worst possible way ever. So what's going to happen? It's going to power the bottom, and it's going to do a double piston extender, pushing the blocks above it up for the quad to grab. But then it would do another double piston extender. But if you saw earlier, about 10 seconds ago, I powered this again with a 4 tick, and you can see it's not working. Because these are getting 1.5 ticked instead of 1 ticked, and therefore it's not going to work. So what this is a pulse extender. We power this, and it goes for a very long time, and it works. And this was supposed to be for the extension of the triple, and this was supposed to be for the retraction, and I'm really stupid. So you basically unlock this, you power this with a 1 tick, it does a double piston extender, and that's your triple piston extender. So let's do it again. It does a double piston extender, then retract it down. And there's a little bit of lag because there's obviously so much people online, so everything might look as slow as it is. I just have these levers here because I don't want certain things to power. So that's kind of like the triple extender. It's a very simple circuit, because most triple extenders have to do like a double extender in the bottom, putting the pistons into the floor, then pushing storage in, then timing things. But this one is really simple, because you just have to do a little connection kind of thing like this. And you just power the bottom input, and it does a triple piston. You just power this 2 times. So what you could use for this is maybe like a web timer or some hopper ROM or something to power this 2 times, or some T flip-flop. But yeah, this is the triple. The quad extender, so this is a lot of stuff here. You might recognize this quad from my 612 block 5x5 door that I made just as I got onto Synergy for the first time ever after Redstone and Shutdown RIP. But so this is like a simple quad extender, and I will show you how this works in a bit. So first we have to get into the double piston extender. So we're imagining it as we're in, I'm just going to move this, we're in this state and we just closed the door, but I'm not going to have these blocks here. First thing is, I'm going to show you a double piston extender. So this double piston extender I'm about to show you is just like this one with the 4-tick repeater, but facing down. So it's basically like this kind of double piston extender thing, but on the top. So I'm locking this for now. I'm turning this repeater off for now just to show you. Well, it obviously goes through the quad when not supposed to, but I'm just gonna, that's why I have this. I'm an idiot. So basically, if we do a 4-tick pulse into this, it's going to be way too long. It's going to be too short, because these are going to get 1.5 tick, which is way too long. Just like over there, but instead of on the extension, instead of on the retraction, it's the extension. No matter what I can do here. So that's why there's a pulse extender, like this. Just like over there, same delay. I think it's like a 5-tick pulse extender or something like that. I'm not 6-tick maybe, and it does a full double piston extender. But in my first 612 block, it has to be modified like this because of, well, the way that the redstone is. I can't fully remember. This is the exact same thing, but it's slightly faster. You can see, because it's blocking the 2-tick instead. Next, we're going to get into the quad. So this is a very simple kind of double extender. The quad circuit is very simple. So it does the double piston extender, and you saw it earlier after I broke it. What happens, it's going to do the double, so it's going to push this down with the 1-tick. It's going to bud this. Then it's going to go up like this, and then it's going to get another 1-tick. And you remember from the storage, this piston would be a T flip-flop, so it's going to go up, and then back down again. Same thing happens here, but instead of being down at first, it's going to be up. So it's a falling edge, so it's going to be down. Then when we give it the 1-tick, I'm going to fire it after, it's going to act like the monostable over there when we send the 1-tick in here for the first time, before it gets retracted. So it's going to go up, pulling these blocks up to here. This 2-tick adds a little bit of delay and goes up into this 2-tick, pulling this line up like that. So it's going to pull it up by 1. So it's going to pull this up. Then what's going to happen, well, before this gets pulled up, what's going to happen is this is going to get pulled up first, then this. So what would have happened is, here, let me fix this. I'm breaking this so hard. Please help me. So it would be like this. The first thing what happens is this is going to get pulled up like that from this 2-tick repeater going through all this dust into this line. Then 2 ticks after that, which is as fast as it could possibly be. This cannot be a 1-tick, it has to be a 2-tick. This will get pulled up. Then you're probably wondering, remember how I said the extra moves was going to break because of the quad or whatever? You're technically right, but because we time it perfectly, just by giving this a 4-tick, what's going to happen is it's going to power this repeater to pull this up. Then it's going to go through this thing. This cannot be it cannot be 4 than a 1, because we have to send a 4-tick pulse into this. I mean a 1-tick. Because if it was 4-tick, it would not work. And this is perfectly timed to do what comes next. So because these repeaters will power this, it's going to pull up. 2 ticks later, it's going to power this. But then what happens after, because this one tick turns on, just as this retracts, this will get a FUD, pulling up the blocks, which are going to be here, up. And then, because of this 4-tick repeater, it's going to perfectly time just after this to perfectly do something like that. And I will show you that after. So, I will show you that now. So, this has to be up. We're just going to use our double extender here. And it does a very small quad extender in an extremely small space. So, that is the quad, the bottom closing, opening. This is pretty much the entire door. Now I'm just going to go over some things that were in the door, or things that could be used for it in different ways that we're going to use afterwards. Ducky boy. So, let's look at some T flip-flops first. We remember from the quad extender, this here and over here. And before I spam dropper hoppers all over the place to make my redstone work, my first 612 block was no droppers or hoppers at all, which is really nice. So there's a bunch of ways you can make T flip-flops. This is kind of a smaller version of this. This is your classic T flip-flop. So this is like your regular monostable circuit. We'll get into T flip-flops over there, but this is your kind of classic monostable circuit. It gives a 1 tick over there, and this is just a way of recreating it, like this. This is what happens if you chain this up with this. Because this piston's getting a 1 tick, it makes a T flip-flop. So when you press the button once, it'll turn the lamp on, and then when you press it again, it'll turn it off. And this is a kind of a different version. If you don't want a button activated, because over there you can see with this it gets 2 pulses, it goes down then back up, you can do the same thing. So this is a falling edge T flip-flop. So it has to give 4 pulses like this. So it gets 1, 2, gets an output, 3, 4 gets an output. But you can always move this block down to make it a rising edge T flip-flop. Like, which is really smart. There's also dropper hopper T flip-flops like this, which basically powers this bottom dropper after this one. So there's an item in there. It's going to power this dropper, then this one, because of the way that the game works. So it's going to put the item from here up to here. And there's a comparator under there, as you can see. There, you can see the little bit of red. I can go into, if you can't see, I'll go into game mode 3. You can see that it is in fact powered. And there's just a micro here to make it 100% reliable. So it's going to extend it, but remember that this dropper powers first, then this one. So when we power it again, it will put the item into this chest minecart to make it reliable. And then it will get sucked down from this hopper back into this. And this comparator will turn off because there's no more item in there. So this is a way to make T flip-flops and monostable circuits. Next, we're going to look at double piston extenders. So if you remember from the top opening over here, with this locking repeater stuff, and over here in the triple extender, this double extender stuff. So this is like your regular double piston extender. This is used in pretty much everything, but this was first founded by who I will mention in a second over there. I broke the lever of that. But you can also send pulses into it like this. 4-tick repeaters like this. 4 ticks is actually the maximum you can do. You put it on 3-tick, but also 3.5-tick does work with this like dropper hopper. But you can also stack them like this. So, and the biggest possible you can make it without adding like repeater extensions to it, which I believe is about, I think it's like 32 or something, because this is 16, Actually, it's 31 because this is 15 here. This is also 16. So then you can just add another 50, making it 31. Otherwise, you're going to have repeater extensions. And you can see, to prove that it's 15, that piston does not get powered. So, if I power this, you can see it does not get powered. If you look on the side, on the right side, and you see targeted block, which is under the weird kind of graphics and weird core stuff, you can see it says power 0. And if I go over here, it says power 1, 2, 3. That's because this is 15. And then this would. But if you really want to know, you've probably seen this all over YouTube. Okay, like hipster doors, simple hipster doors. This was created by Melon VP. So this guy here. You might recognize this. I'm just using a note block because I like it. Simple 2x1 hipster door. But yeah. So it uses this double piston extender with this 4-tick and this observer. And remember I said you can only send a 4-tick repeater into this. Like this. It's doing the same thing because these observers are 1-ticks. And you can also use a button for this. Like that. So this is like your regular double piston extender, very simple. And next we're going to go into budding. So cool budding circuits. So if you remember in the quad, we have to do kind of something like power it and then unpower it really quickly to do a double pulse. That is exactly what all of this madness is. So let's see it first in action. Well, in this case, I have it in a bad spot. So let's do it over here. We power this normally, like this. So it powers this, nothing happens. But when we remove the redstone block and then place it back extremely quickly, this piston retracts up, but you can see that this is now budding this. So it's now being budded. And I just have an update here to update this. But because it's being budded, just as this retracts, it's still technically retracting, but this block, because this is still in this space, because this is still retracting, just because it turns on, it will then give the update. So there's different ways to do this. There's cool ways like this. So you can give triple pulses, which is going to be used in an upcoming project that I have not worked on in a long time. So power it with like a 3-tick. You can see this double pulse, but I'll explain that in a second. We give so this is like your regular observer clock. You can see like let me do it one more block. You can see this is like your regular classic observer clock. They just go back and forth and update each other. It's a 2-tick clock. So when you're giving it a 3-tick, it's going to give 2 pulses to this. Actually, it only gives, I think, 2, because it's going to extend, updating this, then it's going to retract, okay, and then updating this twice. But with a 4-tick, what's going to happen is it's going to extend, updating this, it's going to clock once and update it again, then it's going to get retracted, updating it again. So it's a triple pulse. So you can see here, if this was not on a server and I had game speed, I could show you slow motion. Basically, it goes down, then back up, and then pulses up. So if I give this like this, so if I just set this up, like, how should I do this? Move this. I broke that by accident. So you can, this is where it would be used. So we're going to use something like this in the actual door that I'm going to show you later. It does a double pulse like this. There's also other ways to do it. You can use a burnout. So if you send a 4-tick to a burnout, like this, it does the same thing as the 3-tick. If you send a 3-tick, well, it just gives a 1-tick. Because of how it works. Like that. There's also dropper hopper burnouts like this. You can add more delay to give more pulses. I know that adding a minecart between here does not make this a triple pulse. I think you need like 2 minecarts or something like that. And then there's also something like this, but this is kind of weird. You're gonna need I have to set this up. You can see that this pulls. I'm gonna explain how this works. So we might actually use this in the 505 that I'm gonna build with you guys after. So this gets a 1 tick, pulling these up, and it's because it has to extend and then retract. That's 1.5 ticks of delay. Okay, it has to go down, grab the pistons, and go back up. But then there's this 3 tick, has a 1.5 tick more to go before it turns on. So just as this retracts, this powers 1.5 ticks after this turns off, after these retract, but powering these, pulling them up, doing basically, well, oh yeah, you can also do this with repeaters, like this. It'll do this. But because there's no updater, it just won't retract. I'll show you again. Well, it just stays where you can see this. So that's double pulsing, really useful in big doors like 8x8s and 7x7s. Now I'm going to show you locked repeaters and stuff like that. So this is a lot to show, so I'm going to go through this really quickly. What is a locked repeater? A locked repeater is basically what it says. It's a repeater that's locked. So I use this in my 675 block 5x5 a long time ago, about a year on Redstoner. It's still on Synergy, don't worry. And basically what it does is it blocks a repeater from going on. So I'm flicking this lever as fast as I can and nothing happens. But when I unflip this and flip this, it's extend like normal. When you flip this, you're probably wondering, well, it's still powered, nothing really happened. But what happens when I turn this off? There's two options. Either this is going to turn off, or it's going to stay on. And the correct answer is obviously it's going to stay on, because it's being locked. So, I'm clicking as fast as I can, nothing's happening. I can even remove the lever and nothing's happening. So basically, what this is doing is it's locking this repeater to stay on permanently. And you can only turn this off if you turn this off, unless this is still on. So this will keep this constantly extended, and this is used in piston tapes, like over here, which I'm going to demonstrate now. So whenever a block comes into here, like solid block, it's going to power this dust below, which is used in pretty much all tapes. So you can see it does a piston tape, which is used in like big piston doors, like 7x7 and bigger. But it's using the fact that this is always constantly on, so then this will power. So it's really smart. And I'm just going to power it again because my OCD triggers me that if you use a gate like this, I have to close it for trapdoor. So once you turn this off, it'll turn on 1 tick later, 2 ticks after this turns off, because this turns off 1, this is turn off. But what you can also do is change the delay of it. So if I go like this, it still turns off, but if I power this, now it takes 5 ticks to turn off. And this was utilized in the fact of this and over here. It's really helpful in creating long delay parts. You can also do this with comparators, as you see over here. You can flick this, and then do this, and then do the exact same thing. But what you can do it with repeaters and comparators, but it works in a slightly different way. This will not turn off, as you can see. I can still do this, because that's just the way the comparator functions. Right now, because this bulb is not on, it's on compare mode, comparing signals. So because this lever gives off 15, and this repeater gives off 15, this will not turn off. But if I put this on subtract mode, it'll turn off. So you can see it turns on, turns off, turns on, turns off. But if I do this, it works slightly differently than that. But you can't do it with comparators. These just how they work. I already showed you the piston tape. What you can also do is use these as rising edge and falling edge monostables. So what happens here is that these repeaters are still on. So they get powered at the same time. But not really, because of the way dust updates. This dust powers first, then this one. But it's so, like, insignificantly small of a difference that you can't see the difference. So it just looks like they both turn off at the same time. So this one technically locks this first, then this one. So if you go back in order, when you turn this off, this dust will turn off, then this one. So this repeater will be unlocked. Because if you remember from over here, this is powered. No, this is powered from here. And remember, when it turns off, it gets output. But then this repeater will turn off here a little bit after this one, giving us a 1-tick pulse. And you can also change delay of this. You can change delay. So if I go like this, you can see this will turn on first because it's 3 and this is 2. And you see you get no output because this will turn off before this. But if you can rearrange it like this is still a 1-tick, it just adds more delay. But what you can do, if you put this on 2 and this 1, well like this, you can get a 2-tick pulse. And this is a 3-tick pulse because of repeaters. And that's where this comes in handy. So if you remember from the double piston extenders, like this. And if I flick this off, you can see I'm locking this. It barely does it. It just needs like a couple tick, just a tick more. So it does the double piston extender like that. So that's pretty much everything to explain about 5x5 piston doors and how they work. This is mostly about my 612, but they pretty much all work the same. So now let's actually build one. So we're going to utilize what we made, and you can follow along or you can just quit the video. But you will not want to quit the video. You will make this ducky very mad. Ducky. So first thing, you're just going to place side pistons. If you're wondering how I do this, I just left click and right click at the same time. But there is other ways to do it, I think. So there's this. Most times I fail. You see me fail before, I think. So let's make these side pistons, and we're not going to care about the size, because compacting is a different story. So those are your side pistons. Let's make the layout for the bottom. So we're going 5 wide, I don't know why. This should not be 5 wide, it should be 4 wide. Sorry about that. You're going to place 3 pistons at the bottom like this. And then your storage like this. And we're going to utilize what we learned. And if this is locational, it's fine. We'll fix it after. Let's build the top. We're going to build a completely different quad circuit because I don't want to copy that. And you've probably built it before if you followed that 612 block 5x5 tutorial. So let's make all the inputs really quickly. So let's place these, build this in, and we're just gonna build it like cyan for now. So let's have this. And I'm not too sure if this is locational. If it's not, then that's great, and if it is, then that's fine. So to test this, it's not really a tutorial on the 612, it's just how I did it. Okay, so this is locational, but it's okay. So if your thing is locational, you still want to build a replica of this, all you have to do is put 1-ticks there, and then observers like this. I believe this works. Yeah, this works 100% of the time. So you can just do something like this, but normally that double extender works. Let's build the top so we can have this, this, and this. And then let's add this, this observer, this. And I'm not going to use too many droppers, hoppers, and stuff because of minecart placement, but I'm only going to use what we learned. I'm not going to go for super small, tiny world record size. So your layout is like this, almost. We just got to do the storage here. So like this. This goes into a block. Hold on a second. I have to deal with life. Okay, I'm back. So this will go down into 3 dust, and then this is where we're going to utilize. So anything important from what we learned will be in lime. So remember this. This will utilize this as a solid block, which is cool. This will go into this. And this will go to one more 1-tick repeater. And this will staircase back up. But first what we need to do is hook up our 1-ticks. So we're gonna have a 1-tick there. And we're just gonna get some slabs like this. So this should work like that. And all we gotta do now, and because we want to use a okay, never mind. So let's just build this first. So I'm just using red for this because I just want to. So this is like regular, simple side piston stuff. Simple part, powers all of them. And I'm just going to make a little slider up here. You don't really need to do this. So I'm just going to do this for now. I'm just doing this because I just want to. This is really not needed. It's just how I want it. It's really not needed whatsoever. So this would just power those. And then this. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. Just have to do stuff. So this is obviously not needed. You can do this in many different ways. I'm just doing it in the most simple way I can think of. Well, this is not really simple. So I powered this. And that's fine. I honestly don't care. I don't know why. Oh yeah. Just do. Hold on. I'm back. I had to do stuff. So I'm just gonna put this up here because I just think it's easier. Yeah, this is kind of bad, but it's fine. This is not normally, like, you should never use a slider for this, ever. So, so there's like sides, I don't know why that one did not power. Okay, just needs a no block there. Like this. And this is just your regular side pistons, whatever. Okay, let's do the bottom. So we're going to utilize 1-ticking this. So to get the output, we're just going to use a sticky piston here. And then we're just going to make this a dual edge. So normally for a quad extender, you have a little pulse extender at the bottom. I'm going to make that because I just think it really helps. You normally need like 5 items. So I'm just doing it like this. I'm just gonna do 6, I don't care. But, so, this is like your regular, thing. So, dust there. then observer. So this will do the bottom closing almost. So we flip this, and you can see this pushes up, and now we need the triple piston extender. So remember this. We now need to one-tick this. To do that, what we're going to do is get an output from here, this second storage, because this second storage only powers this repeater. This repeater powers only once in the closing or the opening. So we're just going to use that to our advantage. I'm just adding some delay for fun. You obviously don't need to do this. And this will go into this.
Chelsea?
Hold on. Sorry, I do stuff. So this is like your regular closing. This will power through. And I broke this by accident. So this will push it up. Now we just want a double piston extender. But this one, because of the way that it is, I believe we can just send a 4-tick into it. So if I just power this again. Okay, so we have to just use the locked repeater. So now we're using a locked repeater. So we're gonna have a 4-tick there, 4-tick there, and we've ran into a little issue. We can't actually fit a locked repeater in this, but because of, well, we need a dust here. But the way around this is to switch some stuff around. So we can make this a repeater, and this has to be slab because we don't, actually, never mind. And then this can be a dust. But now this will not point to this, so we've gotten ourselves into a little kind of thing. So we won't actually use a locked repeater here because of the way that we have it. So the way around this that I know of is to use like a pressure plate entity kind of thing. So what we can use is like a wooden pressure plate like this, then like a minecart. I'm just going to use a furnace minecart, and it has to be wooden because of, well, the way it has to be. So we just put this in like this, I did a D, and then this acts like it as a regular double extender. But to get the output, we're just going to send a 4-tick into this, like that. So this is like your triple extender bottom kind of regular circuit, like D. So we're using a substitute for minecarts, locked repeater. So we unflip this. So you can see it does that, but now we want to power this again, this double piston extender thing. So to do that, what we can do is take an output using this, and just to create a little bit more delay, we can just do this. This adds a little bit more delay, and this is extended, I don't know, all because of, so this block actually has to be a slab because this gets butted. So we can see so far we used our regular monostable, we used a substitute for a locked repeater, and we used our regular kind of closing from over here. And now we're building the triple. So okay, I'm gonna reset. So you can just build along with this, or you can just watch to see, like I said earlier. So if we power this, so this actually powered too fast. So what we're going to use is some dropper hopper, because we can use some delay in this which can be used with like locked repeaters or whatever. So we're just going to use, well, we're just going to go outside here for now. Add just more vortex, I honestly do not care. Because we need to power the double extender 2 times for the triple to work. So this will power it 2 more times. But we need a T flip-flop for this, because, well, what I just realized, if we refire this dust again, or this kind of repeater chain here, it's not going to work. So we need a T flip-flop. And the best way to make a T flip-flop is we can utilize this. Remember, over here, make this line. This over here is your regular T flip-flop. This gets 1 tick, and that gets pulled down. So if we watch this again, okay, so this powered a little too fast. That is okay. Just do this. So this is not a T flip-flop, I just realized. This is a T flip-flop. So this is like a monostable, which goes into this. So make these both lime, because they're important. And let's actually make this make sense. So this is like, I'm just... So this powered way too fast, as you can see. So, yeah, this powered way too fast. So we're gonna add more delay here. So 4 tick, 4 tick. So we're gonna utilize this 2 tick going into this, which is kind of like a T flip-flop, but it just uses an observer. Yay. I don't even know why in my head I'm just like, why am I even making this 5 of 5? I just explained it. You can just get rid of the video now if you want. I'm just doing this just to show you, like, how these concepts come together. And you can see there's 2 double piston extenders. But now you can see that this is now pulled down. So if we fire this kind of repeater thing again, which we probably will, we probably just have to send like a 1 tick pulse into it. To do that, we're going to take an output using a dropper, like this, updating, and then we're just going to take a ton of observers, spam them all over the place, let it d dum dum dum, and then this one needs to be a hopper, so like this, and then, like I said, I'm not caring about size whatsoever, and then this can go into the, and make this a lamp, just because it has to be like this. And then, this is obviously not my best work. And then we'll build the top in a second. So if we flip this, well, obviously to not do it, but if I pull this down, okay, so this fired too quickly, so we need more delay. Just gonna go up like this. So okay, so that's fine. And we're just gonna take it from the perspective of the actual quad. So this should actually be up on the closing. I mean the opening, sorry. So it was really fast because of lag, But if we power this again, you can see it's pretty fast. So it just broke, but yeah. Yeah, if you just forget about this, I'm a really dumb ducky. Really stupid ducky. So, just forget about this. I don't know why I suggested to just to do this, but yeah. Just build the 612 block. I'll link in the description back. Why did I do this? I'm an idiot. But yeah, so I guess this is it for the video. I have to go anyway. And I will see you next time. Bye. Just resetting this, because why not? I don't know why I'm resetting this anyway. Bye. Filling this in, because I want a good thumbnail. Because I'm using YouTube software stuff. Bye.